All right, and we are live, guys. Welcome to Reset Live.
All right, welcome to another episode. Today it's going to be myself and Chris manning the hosting, the operations side of Reset. And we're excited to be joined by our co-host today, Dr. Wren, and special guest, Brooke Hampton. So how's everybody doing?
Good.
That's it? That's all you got?
That's all I got. I'm great. I'm fantastic. I'm high on peppermint tea. It's good. Life's good.
I was just going to ask what's in that cup. I could probably go for some right now because it's pretty chilly in Jersey.
Is it still?
Yeah.
Yeah, I go for the bulletproof coffee myself. Does anybody else drink that?
Every morning.
I bulletproof my chaga.
Oh, I can't do coffee. You don't want to meet me on coffee. It's not for me. No. Get a little crazy.
Well,
right.
Awesome. Well, how is everybody's weekend? How is everybody's week? Leading up to the show, the awesome show we have planned for today.
I've been planting all weekend because we've had really good weather here. It's warm now. It's getting really nice. So.
Awesome.
Now, things in the Reniverse are a whirlwind as usual. My parents just bought 30-acre retirement home in Tennessee. That's 23 football fields.
Aww.
And the house here in Jersey is up for sale, so it's just been crazy. And the baby misses his daddy in Massachusetts. But we're
Got
excited.
Rowan on the show today.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's been an interesting week for me. My roommate Devin and I, who's usually on the show, he actually just purchased some EMI and EMF detectors. So we've been going around our house actually and measuring like the body voltage and electric fields that our outlets are giving off. And it turned out that like my room, which I've had a lot of trouble sleeping over the past 6 months to a year, and my room gives off a field that's like 10 times higher than recommended for sleep.
Whoa.
So we've been attacking that problem. So we've had we've turned off like the circuit to my room, but it so happens that it also somehow connects to a downstairs bathroom. So our other roommate, Paul, has had he's been like in the bathroom in the dark. We've got to like put a lamp in there. So it's been an interesting week.
It definitely makes a difference in how you sleep. When people come to visit me, they say they sleep really well because we turn all the, we're out in the country and we turn all the electronics and internet and Wi-Fi, everything off at night. All phones. Really do sleep better. Whenever I stay at a hotel and I've got all that zapping me all night, I don't sleep well. It's not not a good sleeping environment. It's too much.
Yeah.
And we made sure we actually made the nursery in a room that gets the least EMF and all that,
So smart.
And I think, is Chris the only one today maybe using some grounding technology because you stole my mat for under your keyboard?
You graciously donated the mat for my office, first of all. And yes, I am. I have a grounding mat under my keyboard. So I have a standing desk and I'm standing with my wrists and hands usually on the mat because I'm typing. So yeah. And I'm really interested to try some of the stuff you got, PJ. Actually.
Yeah. I'm barefoot on a grounding pad right now. No pun intended, but
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I think that's the right foot to start off the introduction.
Okay. All right.
So, Brooke is a self-described earth warrior, raw food lover, organic gardener, book reader, kitchen wit, tea addict, right there, love maker, wild water huntress, naked moon dancer. Did I mention naked? Sun gazer, herbalist, and barefoot mama. She's the author of Enchanted Cedar, The Journey Home, and co-founder and owner of Enchanted Cedar, which is a local chaga house bookstore in Lorena, Texas. She's the creator of the Holy Flow Parenting Style and Barefoot Five, a cyber tribe of dreamers, wild hearts, and magic makers. On a mission to hack life by rewriting parenting, love, learning, relationships, and work to create a life wholly unique to her and inspire others by example, we welcome you, Brooke Hampton.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
What a superhero introduction.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's pretty killer. Yeah, Ren, you might have to come back and do intros.
I'll think about it.
Too good. Yeah. We'll talk offline. We'll see what we can work out. But yeah.
Well, I'm really excited about being here. Thank you for inviting me. This is not my comfort zone, but I said that this year would be a year of yeses. So anything that I got invited to do, I was going to say yes, even if it scared me. So I appreciate you reaching out to me and, gently pushing me, encouraging me to do this. This is good for me.
So what's really funny is, you guys know, I host a TV show, Think Healthy. And, I've mentioned it to Brooke and I've just been waiting for right timing. And, she's met me with, just like she said, she hasn't really put herself out there as far as a speaker yet. And when Chris told me that he messaged her the other day and she was like, okay, I'll do it. I'm like, how did you convince her to do it?
I just asked.
Getting to know Brooke, if you don't know her, you might think she's really super intimidating. I mean, this woman throws out memes with the F-bombs all over them. I said to Chris, I've planted the seed with her, but, the minute she might back off or ruffle her feathers a little bit, I kind of ease up and I haven't pushed it or, really. I'm like, how did you convince her, Chris? So, yeah, Chris, how did you convince her to be with us today?
I asked her. And then she said no. And then I said, are you sure? It's really comfy. And then she said, well, I have this commitment to myself. And that's kind of, I don't know. I have some magic, I guess.
I told him, I said, well, only if you promise it's going to be pre-recorded and you can toss it out if it's crap, because this is not. And of course, no, it's live. Yeah.
Of course it's live, but we can delete the post if we don't like it. But you'll be fine, Brooke.
No, this is great. I'm loving it.
But we just really love how you're embracing your journey and, where the universe has led you and guided you to. It takes a lot of courage, and that's a true leader by example.
Yeah. And well, for me, I can remember so clearly what it felt like to be lost in my world, not feel like I had a place or a purpose or know where I was headed or why. And that's such an empty feeling, to feel so disconnected from source and disconnected from our power here, and feeling very trapped in myself, feeling trapped in my need to please everyone. And what happens to me now that I've started breaking away from that, I feel so good. So when I get scared moving forward, I go, oh, that really feels uncomfortable. I don't really want to do that. I think, but I know what it feels like to go back here. And that's what's going to lead me back there. Is if I keep letting fear win and I keep backtracking, and not moving forward, I'm going to end up back in that place. And I don't want to be there. So this uncomfortable feeling I'm feeling right now is a hell of a lot better than that. I can't, that's how I get myself over it and just keep going, even though I'm scared. And I don't want to.
But there even had to be a point within that whole muck that you're talking about that you realize that, you're a nonconformist. Like, when did you realize that?
Well, I was raised by the original hippie, a mom who was a hippie before it was cool. And when I got away from my household, I was so determined to be normal, to fit in and not always stand out. Because as a child, living with someone who's making tofu turkeys or, whatever it was, the only person in town that's just breastfeeding, my mom was different. And so we stood out as a result of that, And so for me, I went through this phase where I just felt like I wanted to be normal. I wanted to fit in. Didn't want anyone to look at me and go, oh, she's different, Mm-hmm. I tried the whole Stepford wife thing. I really was actually pretty good at it for a short period of time. And I was absolutely miserable. I was really, really, really unhappy. And it wasn't until I had children of my own that it started coming back. Like, okay, watching them, I had a kindergartner age child who had said to me one day, she says, this is my oldest now, which she's changed so much and grown since we've started evolving together. But she was worried about wearing a certain skirt to her preschool class because the kids made fun of her, And I really believe that, especially at that age, they don't do what we tell them to do. Like, oh, be original, be different. They do what they see us doing. And she saw me constantly changing and altering myself for the people around me. So, of course, she was going to, for me, it was just a moment of clarity. Like, what am I doing here? And I'm so miserable. Why would I want this for her? Do I want her to end up this way, nervous and unhappy and feeling disconnected and not knowing where she's, going? So here I am now, 11 years later, and I turned into my mother. So,
Well, I can definitely relate to your daughter and the outfit attire. I wore windbreaker pants from like kindergarten till like 7th grade. I wouldn't wear denim at all, so I've got my own. It's just a weird, quirky thing. What's that?
How old were you, Brooke, when you had your first?
I was young. I was 21 or 22. 22.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Because
was young.
we wear so many different hats and we go through all these different phases. And for me, you know, Rowan will be 2 months next week, and I couldn't imagine having a child any younger. And I'm so glad because I was able to get past those stages and phases and have a sense of who I am.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I tell my kids that all the time, you know, don't, as far as like relationships and marriage, this that we've been told is the norm based on, you know, books and beautiful movies. And, you know, we think that this is what we're all supposed to be doing. And I'm having that conversation now to let them know that that is not expected. And it's okay to do something completely and totally different because you're not even going to know who you are. Trust me, until I didn't know who I was or even have an idea of who I wanted to be until I was 33. That was the year where I finally was, you know, wait a second. I want dreads and I want tattoos and I want to run around naked and I want to, you know, like I just totally, it was just, my world just opened up. It was fantastic. I went completely bonkers. And everyone around me thought I had completely lost my mind. They're still thinking I'm going through a phase. Like, oh, she's going to come back around.
You know, one thing I really like about what you're saying, Brooke, is this theme of conquering or addressing or even looking at, hell, never mind what you do after you look at, but looking at fear, right? So you grew up in a certain way, and then you took on this, I'm not going to be like my mother. I'm afraid of that entity. And now, as you've embraced becoming who you are and even getting on the show today, you're happier as a result, and there's a flourishing happening. So I just want to acknowledge and I want to acknowledge that, and that's awesome. And I think it fits right into this whole thing of conscious parenting.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little more, Brooke, about the mission that you're on and kind of what your why is, why you started Barefoot Five and everything you're doing now?
Yeah, well, originally it started as a place for me to, because what happened when I started going berserk is that everyone around me, you know, a lot of times what happens is in your community, you know, you aren't necessarily openly received for that, you know, your changes, your opinions, your whole world flipping upside down. You're realizing, wait, everything I've been told is a lie? And like, what? You know, and you're looking up at the sky going, what's really going on? And everyone's looking at you like you've lost it. And so for me, it started out as a place just to say it, you know, a place to speak it and let it out and say, I think this is what's happening. We're all being lied to. And then, you know, and just it's just a safe space for me to do that, you know? And so, because I couldn't really just do that at the chamber meeting downtown, which, you know, I go to every week, you know, I can try and I could, you know, I choose not to. Because, so yeah, it was a safe place for me to start saying what was going on, what was going through my mind during all that, you know, transitioning and upheaval of old stuff and old programming. So, and the remembering of who I am, it was really just the journaling of that is how it started.
Wow.
So, and it evolved into something of its own mind, really. It's become something I think that it was always meant to be. I just didn't see it. I didn't start out with this master plan of, oh, I'm going to build this brand and do this thing.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the best and most impactful movements we have are started that way, very organically.
Yeah.
Sometimes Chris and I could definitely speak to being the operations guys, you know, being a little overly technical and structured. So I really appreciate the natural way in which it seems like this started for you.
And you have to just trust right now that people really are craving something real and raw. And if you show up in your truth, you just continue to do that, it's going to grow naturally because it's what people require right now. It's what we're all just desperately seeking, is something real. I'm tired of being sold to. I'm tired of being fed a bunch of, you know, BS. Like, give me something real. Even if it's not pretty, even if it's messy, just give it to me like, you know, like it is. Yeah. So.
Yeah. One of the questions we ask each guest that comes on the show, and it's what is their reset moment. And it sounds like you've had a couple just from the last couple of minutes. You've been explaining a bit of your history and how you started this, and kind of the counter reaction to mainstream society and how that's moving along, kind of just chugging along in its own blind way. So what's your reset moment?
Like my coming to Jesus moment?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good one. I don't even think I've ever told this story, but I was 110 degrees out in Texas. It's so hot here sometimes. Not all the time, but it was one of those really intense days. And I was dressed in this outfit I didn't want to be in because we were going to some gathering for my partner's work thing. I didn't want to go. I really didn't want to be there and pretend to be something. I'm just not in it, you know? And we were arguing on the way, and I'm like, let me out of the car. And so he pulled over, and I'm about like 2 or 3 miles from home in heels, dark jeans, you know, full get up, hair fixed and whatever. And I got out and I walked home. He didn't turn around to come get me. I walked home in the 110 degree, and my neighbor stopped. Another neighbor stopped. Do you want me to pick him? Nope. I am good. Trucking down the highway in my heels, sweating bullets. And I got home and I sat down on the laundry room floor, and I just remember just finally, like just breaking open, like just to the point of like complete. Like if someone had seen me, they probably would have locked me up. I'm just like, like this, like what am I doing? And that was it. It finally, that's what it took. That breaking moment for the universe to finally get through to me, to finally have an opening. You know, I'm so stubborn. Anyone who knows me knows I'm so stubborn. I'm slow to, I'm not a follower. You know, I'm slow warming up. But once you get me there, but it takes me a little bit. So the universe had to work really hard with me. And when it finally had that moment of breaking open to reach me, it was it. That's all it took with me, is a clear moment of seeing, okay, like, this is all upside down. You know, this is just not what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah. So, and then I went into mode from that day forward. Like at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 weeks later, I was pulling the TVs out of the house. You know, like 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and was like, we need to get these TVs out of here. This is the problem. This is what's happening. My kids are watching these things all the time. You know, it was like, really, if it could have been a live stream for the whole, you know, it would just been classic TV stuff. It's classic.
Could always reenact
with the big flat screen TV, like walking down the stairs, putting it in the garage, and my partner's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "TV's got to go." And he's just like, okay.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people can relate. That's one of the reasons we love asking the question. I think everyone has a moment or moments where things shifted for them. That seeing moment where they make a perspective jump. But the fact that like you took immediate action on it and carried through with it, I think is something that we don't always do. So that's awesome that not only did you have that moment, but then you move forward in action from that.
Keep moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that one seed of inspiration kind of crafted exactly where you are today, that's why we call it a reset moment. It's like a totally different track that you start, which is awesome.
Rise. I put it on my mirror. It's everywhere. I love that word, rise, because it triggers me. It reminds me to just keep rising up out of that, you know, place. Like just keep moving forward. Yeah. Good word.
Your TV story reminds me of when I first started studying color therapy. And I was told about how the different colors as far as clothing, like black, can potentially suppress the chakras, and you see a lot of people wear it to funerals because it deflects the energy. And if you're going to like a business interview or job interview, you should wear red. Shows you're in your power and you're rooted and grounded. So this is a weird intro into the question I'm about to ask you, because, you know, black, you know, wearing to funerals and things like that. But as you're rising now, and people are starting to really put more of a face to your brand and to your memes, I want to ask you where the weirdest place you've ever been just called out or recognized has been. And I know I shared with you that the weirdest place for me someone has ever brought you up was actually at my grandmother's funeral over a year ago. I had some cousins up down south, and the one her son is the same age as Rainbow Wolf. And in the middle of the morning and the crying and everything, she pulls my arm and said, I saw you in those pictures with Brooke Hampton. Bless her heart. I've been following her for all these years. So Brooke, I wrote that to you in Messenger a while ago, over a year ago, and that was the weirdest place you had ever been brought up to me. So where's the weirdest place you might have ever been called out or recognized?
I've been recognized at a bar, which was awesome. And it was great. I was drinking straight whiskey and eating sweet potato fries, and I thought, this is classic. I was recognized. Well, we were in a Whole Foods, but that's not really weird. We were in a Whole Foods on somewhere from here to Georgia, and I had the kids with me. I was driving to go to see my mom at Enoto when she was living there, and we were in the fruit over by the blueberries or something, and someone recognized us, and the kids were so excited. They're like, we're famous. They thought it was the best thing, and it's so cute. Really, they're so involved with me in all of this, so it's like we've built it together because they're with me all the time, so we're in this together. They help me with shipping, they help me with editing, they help me with all of it, and so it's kind of something we've done together, which makes it not like this separate thing, mommy's working right now. No, we're all working right now. We're doing it together, which really creates a really nice environment for it so that they're not resenting it. Like, it's not taking me away from them. It's like something fun we do together. It's really, and it takes us to cool places. Like, they're going to Maine with me in August, and they're going up to Toronto with me. So they've gotten to experience some really cool stuff because of it. So it's been a good thing. I love to travel, and it gives me a reason and the means to do that, which is, a real blessing.
And I bet it's easier now that they're a little older, because I remember being with you at a chocolate party in Toronto once, and you flew back to Texas and were gone no more than 24 hours to get right back to the kids at the homestead, because we were going to ask you, what's it like balancing that and making sacrifices like having to be away from your family, and within that, how has your partner been supportive of you?
Yeah, well, the Women's Wellness Conference, I think maybe you were there too.
Yep.
Was that was it 20? What year was that? With the very first one I went to? Okay,
2014.
It was 2 weeks after my grandmother died, and I just really felt like I needed to go. Like, I needed to do something for myself. But that was the first time I had ever left the kids with my partner in 10 years. He'd never kept them by himself, ever. So that was a huge thing for me to do. I was, being away from them like that, because usually it's us. We're a unit. We kind of just, wherever I go, they go. That's just how it is. And so it's also teaching people, creating a new norm in relationship to doing what was considered work stuff. Yeah, my kid's on my lap right now, or yes, my kid's crying. Sorry, get over it. You know what I mean? That's just, or I need to pause what I'm doing in the middle of this live right now to address an issue that the siblings are having. That happens all the time, and it's part of our, it's part of what makes it real. I think it's us being brave enough to restructure and, recreate what that looks like for the mom. That's, that's how it should be, right? I mean, shouldn't we be supporting each other in doing this with our kids as a unit instead of it being this separate thing? Like the gathering we're doing in Maine, I've had so many women write me who are breastfeeding, who are bringing the kids, and who are nervous about interrupting sacred moments with small children. I'm like, I would love for someone to come to me and say, my meditation was really just hindered and interrupted by that small child crying. And I'm like, maybe your meditation needs to be helping that mom right now with that small child. You know what I mean? Come on. Like, that's what this is all about. It was us connecting and doing work together in a real way, not sitting on some perfect white blanket on a perfect cliff on a perfect day meditating, but like in it together, working together and actually doing something, So anyway.
And in all the spaces I've ever been in with children, that they kind of cry or coo at like just that perfect moment to ties it all in.
Sure. For sure.
Wake up. Don't wake up.
and Brooke, I just want to comment on that. It reminded me of a couple of things. One, everything you're talking about is the real life. It's not like we need to put our kids off to the side to to experience life or do a thing. Like, that's the life. That's what we're here to do, is have those kids. And it reminds me of this clip that was circulating Facebook. Everybody's probably seen it at this point, of this guy consulting on like foreign national economics or something. He's in the newsroom with CNN, and his kid runs in, and he's just like, no, go away. I can't have you. And like the mom chases the kid, and all the controversy around that was like, just, it would be great if he picked up the kid and played with him. Like,
or not even just play with him, but just addressed him. Said, just stop for a moment and say, I'm in the middle of something right now, in a real and normal way. Yeah. And that's it. It would have been done. I mean, it's not a big deal. You just, That's a really old, though. Like, I mean, if you look at the way things have been presented in the past, they're changing dramatically. People are responding more to things that feel really at home. They feel real. They feel like I'm just in your kitchen. That is what people are responding most to right now. Because we're tired, like we said earlier, it gets old, like I don't want things filtered out. I don't want you to sell me on this idea. Just, let me see it like it actually is and decide for myself,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I want to go back to something you said a minute or two ago about, us all connecting.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons we were excited to talk to you today is to talk about Barefoot Five and the cyber tribe you've built. And we actually pulled a Seth Godin video where he talks about what exactly a tribe is that we're gonna show live.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Take a quick break.
Take a look.
We'll be right back.
News around the corner, really good news. I call it the idea of tribes. What tribes are is a very simple concept that goes back 50,000 years. It's about leading and connecting people and ideas. And it's something that people have wanted forever. Lots of people are used to having a spiritual tribe or a church tribe, having a work tribe, having a community tribe. But now, thanks to the internet, thanks to the explosion of mass media, thanks to a lot of other things that are bubbling through our society around the world, tribes are everywhere. The internet was supposed to homogenize everyone by connecting us all. Instead, what it's allowed is silos of interest. So you got the red hat ladies over here, you got the red hat triathletes over there. You got the organized armies over here, you got the disorganized rebels over here. You got people in white hats making food and people in white hats sailing boats. The point is that you can find Ukrainian folk dancers and connect with them because you want to be connected. That people on the fringes can find each other, connect, and go somewhere. Every town that has a volunteer fire department understands this way of thinking. Now, it turns out this is a legitimate non-photoshopped photo. People I know who are firemen told me that this is not uncommon, and that what firemen do to train sometimes is they take a house that's going to be torn down and they burn it down instead and practice putting it out, but they always stop and take a picture. So, the pirate tribe is a fascinating one. They got their own flag, they got the eye patches. You can tell when you're running into someone in a tribe. And it turns out that it's tribes, not money, not factories, that can change our world, that can change politics, that can align large numbers of people. Not because you force them to do something against their will, but because they wanted to connect. That what we do for a living now, all of us, I think, is find something worth changing and then assemble tribes that spread the idea and it becomes something.
All right, guys, and we're back. What did you think of that clip? Seth Godin talking about what a tribe is and what it really means to be in a tribe. I'd like to ask that actually to you, Brooke. That's something we didn't quite plan for, but I'd love your opinion on what a tribe means to you.
Oh, well, I have a whole, I really think that when we were I feel like, I don't know if this is right, and maybe there's some facts to back me up, maybe there's not, but about 150 people I think of a tribe setting, my tight unit of people, the kind of people who are going to be there for you, regardless of what kind of day you're having, or if you're throwing a fit or you're acting ridiculous, they're there. They're not going anywhere. They're there to love you unconditionally and you're not there to, I'm trying to, like, when I think of my soul family, I think of people who, they're not trying to change me or alter me or take anything from me. They're just there holding space for me. It's like they met me on this journey just to be there in support of whatever it is that's going on with me. I'm on my journey in this moment. So that's what I think. When I think of a tribe, that's what I think of. So when I call Barefoot Five a cyber tribe, my intention is to create that sacred space for people on the internet, which can be hard to do. You know, the internet has a tendency to not be very personal and to be filtered and censored and all of those things, you know, controlled online content. So to create, which I think the live thing has created this amazing avenue for us to do just that, to create this environment where we can support each other and inspire each other. Because I know what it felt like to be moving forward on my journey and feeling very alone and doing that and not knowing where to go. Like, where are the roadmaps? There isn't one. Where do I go to find the new tools, the new inspiration, the new stuff that's going to keep me moving forward? And so for me, it's creating that same bridge, really, or cyber tribe for people that I wish I had for myself when I was, you know, going through that transition.
The internet.
No, that's awesome. One of the ways in which it seems like you've really built that community and that tribe is actually through memes. So we pulled some of your memes on the show. If Chris wants to put those up,
they're already up, man. They're already up.
Oh, awesome! What? I gotta read one of them.
Chris, what does a tablet smell like?
Not like books.
Okay.
So, Brooke, just so you know what people are seeing right now.
Smells like plastic.
It smells like plastic. Yeah, we have my book smells better than your tablet.
I like how you read these.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm a good reader. Oh yeah. Pass the truth to the next generation. Pass the truth to the next generation. Give them early what we found late, which I love.
Yeah.
Fear will not trick me into being ordinary, which I think goes right in line with what you were saying. And the others, I have all the software up on my screen right now. The text is too small for me to read, but people watching the show can definitely read them. It's some of the longer form ones. Some people manage stress with yoga, meditation, and long walks on the beach. What's the rest of it, Brooke?
That was my favorite one.
I want her to finish it.
When I read that, I was like, yes, we have to put this on screen.
So the rest is I manage stress with sex, chocolate, and swearing, which is fantastic. Brooke might be turning a bit red.
And I just want to do a disclaimer that none of these are the quote of the day.
Yeah, none of them are the quote of the day.
None of them are the quote of the day.
No, but like honestly, like for me, we were doing a little research, the team, and going through your website and just seeing your memes, like just the realness of your personality. I was like, we have to get these on the show because it's just so authentic and like the opposite, like, as we were talking about earlier, the opposite of just kind of, trying to represent a. Whoa, my screen just.
I get calls from my father all the time. Brooke, you're killing me.
From your father?
My father, he can't even handle it. He's like, it's all just so inappropriate. Put some clothes on and watch your mouth.
So where do you get the inspiration for all of these memes?
Most of the time, I start my morning. I have this routine of starting my morning without my phone for the first 3 hours of the day. So no phone, no internet, nothing. First 3 hours I'm awake, I try to just be awake and present in my life. And it really helps start the energy of the day with the kids too, because we have time, that's sacred time where we're not distracted. We're just focused on each other. And I go for a walk and I have my morning charcoal and whatever, and usually, surprisingly enough, there's a lot of sass in my head. It just has a tendency to bubble up from real life experience.
I would never have thought that, Brooke.
Never.
Someone will piss me off or something, and instantly there's a meme.
She just memed you.
I just memed you.
We might get a meme out of this show.
Barefoot lady.
Does your meme creation ever get interrupted by another meme?
No, but I have. Sometimes they get too long and they end up in as blog posts. I'm like, well, that's way too long. The font's like this tiny. You gotta have a magnifying glass to read it. They're really wordy, which surprises me that so many people take the time to read them. It's really, I feel really honored that they do that they take the time to read what I have to say. So.
Yeah.
It's
So
very eye-catching.
It is very eye-catching. what exactly is what's behind the name of Barefoot Five and the cyber tribe you built? Like, can you give us a little bit more detail about how you came up with it?
I stole it from my mom. It's what my mom used. There's 5 of us siblings, and that's what she used to call us, the Barefoot Five. Which, I started out talking more about my family kind of in a blog type of way and sharing what was going, and it's much less that now for a lot of different reasons. We've evolved and it's changed, and I feel like for safety reasons it's become less and less about the family and more about just other things. And so and more of my family members are starting to write with me. My mom's working with me, my sister's working with me. It's really, I love how it may end up that it ends up being the Barefoot Five in the end anyway, which is
family enterprise.
So cosmic giggle on that one,
I thought it was your 3 children, yourself, and your partner.
Me too. That's what I thought.
Clarifying. And I love your mom wearing the "Go Smudge Yourself" shirt.
I saw that too. I like that too.
That wasn't the original, no. It wasn't the original. And someone else made the original into a shirt. I didn't want to because I didn't want people walking around with that on their shirt. But someone else has made my original meme into a shirt.
Yeah.
So who is your community for, Brooke? Is it for, the woman who is just about to implode in a 110-degree car with heels on? Or like, who is it? Who's it for?
It's for anyone who's on their journey and is just looking for some sign from the universe to say, I'm not crazy for having these thoughts, for having these feelings right now. I'm not crazy for wanting something different than this. It's okay. And really, my intention, and I hope it comes through in my message, is not to lead anybody in any particular direction. It's not to guide someone this way or that way or teach anyone anything. It's simply to say, here's me over here being brave enough to be authentic and myself, even if that's considered inappropriate or it's this or it's that. And, I'm doing that, hoping that it gives you the courage to do the same thing. That over there, do whatever it is that feels right for you on that just finding the power to do that, to stand in your truth. It's not, it takes some practice. It takes, I said that thing today. Oh, and no one died. I said how I felt about this thing, and it's okay.
Nice.
It's okay.
So how do men respond to you with this powerful female force that you are?
I actually have a lot of really cool guys on my page, and it's I get very little of the like trying to pick me up stuff. It's really, really awesome men who have women in their life they're trying to understand better. They're there like hoping that maybe by reading me being so open about how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking helps them better understand someone in their life that maybe hasn't gotten to that place yet where they're able to say how they're feeling or what's really going on. So I'm there saying it for them, I guess, in a way. And it helps them understand the feminine energy a little bit better.
Yeah.
And as a guy who's followed you for a while, I've seen the memes that you put out. It's actually inspired me to say, okay, when I'm inspired to say a thing, like just fucking say it,
Yes.
like just follow through on the inspiration. And I actually found that I'm generally happier when I do that. So I don't know about other guys in your community, but as somebody who's actually followed you and seen your stuff and been inspired by it, that's what I get.
Because the thing is, it's not really about what you're saying. What you're saying doesn't need to be right or wrong. It's the fact that you let it out. You said how you were feeling in this moment. Don't worry about it being right or wrong or perfect or somebody quoting you later on. Because that's another thing that happens with the internet is people create a character with you, right? So they want to put you in this character mold. And people, I guess, say that that's a good thing because of a brand. Well, for me, that's been the hardest part of the whole thing. Because I choose to change and grow and evolve. And sometimes it's so hard to do because people want to keep you back over here. But you were this, and that's when allowing yourself, when you have a stronger cyber tribe and it starts to grow and get, it's a nice size at this point. And it's giving myself permission to change and be something different than I was when I started out. I'm not going to be that anymore. Maybe I'm not going to use the word fuck anymore as of today. That could be, yeah. I'm just saying, it could happen.
That better not be your first word.
No, it'll be the.
Right, you can tell him it was Aunt Brooke's fault.
It'll be the one from Meet the Fockers, which I won't say, so that it's not his first word. But
Oh yeah.
I love that scene. It's so fantastic.
Speaking.
And you were saying, people sometimes just want to keep you in that place, but I feel like, why you continue to grow and evolve, not only does it help yourself, but it helps others. But if you're not upsetting anyone, you're not changing the status quo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because our tribe gets comfortable. We all get comfortable at any whatever stage we are, however evolved that might be. You get comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, things are getting a little too comfortable. It's time to piss someone off. You know what I mean? That's just yeah. If I'm
even if it's myself, right?
Exactly.
So we're gonna move into talking about the family and really the core of what launched this whole thing, and what is continuing to make it be successful. But before we do that, I want to share with the viewers the clip that you have on your website introducing you, who you are, and really what you do. We thought that it was a very authentic way of just going about it, and it's actually what got us really excited to start working with you. So I'm going to play that for them, and we'll come back and talk about family.
Okay.
Hello, Brooke Hampton, Barefoot Five. Welcome to our website. I am really glad that you found your way here. It's kind of exciting of all the places that you could be, that the universe brought you to this space. So welcome, and we're really glad you're here. Grab a cup of tea or a cup of hot cacao and wander around a little bit. There's some fun things happening here. There's a really amazing cyber tribe gathering in this space. A lot of beautiful souls, really opinionated, wild people that gather here and share their journey with each other. So I think you might meet some really cool people in this space. It's not just about me, that's for sure. My kids are really active here. There's lots of goddesses and amazing people gathering here and sharing their wisdom. And I'm just coordinating, creating a space where we can all get together and get to know each other and help each other vibe up and grow and be the best version of ourselves. So I'm definitely not here to tell anybody what to do. I'm here to inspire you to be you and have the courage you need to lead the life that you know your heart's calling you to. So thank you for being here. And if you want to, there's, I don't know how much you know about all of us, but we have a Facebook page that's Barefoot Five on Facebook. You can hang out there too. We do a live tea time there, usually once a week. We have different guests on and we sit and chat and I answer your questions. They also, on this space, we have a Q&A section where I have answered some of the most frequently asked questions, and some of them are kind of juicy. It's fun. What else? I don't know. There's our Instagram tribe is Barefoot Five at Instagram, and I guess that's it. So grab a cup of tea, sit down, hang out for a little bit, get to know some of us. Thank you for being here. Mwah.
All right, guys, and we're back to talk about balancing family and work. So, Brooke, you have a pretty decent sized family, and you've got this big community, and you've got this tribe, and you got this brand that you built. Let's speak to the most, like the biggest question on the top for me, and I think for Ren too, is how do you manage all that?
I don't sleep much. I sleep very little. I get a lot done in the middle of the night. And we work as a moving unit. And I think I have an upper hand with that because they didn't go into school and we've always had to work together through whatever, like if we're sick right now, then guess what? Everything gets canceled. No one's coming in to save us. I don't have any help. So it's just us. We're in this right now together, so it's helped us. Like when I travel with my kids now, we work so well together. It wasn't always easy. It wasn't, I picked up someone slightly important from the airport. This was just at Thanksgiving. Halfway home, it's pouring rain, and Luca decides to just have a moment. He was just having a moment. I had to pull over on the side of the road in the rain, get out with him, and just stand there for a minute and just talk. Like, we just had to talk it out. Like, what's going on right now? Why are, what's happening? What's triggering you? And it was just so great. I'm like, wow, this is really happening right now. He hasn't had a moment like this since he was 3, but that person's like, oh, I didn't know that. I mean, but it's good. And we work together with the Barefoot Five thing. We also work together as a family unit. We restore old homes. So we're kind of always together. Like the kids are learning Billy's trade, which is construction. And then they're learning my trade, which is running my mouth. And, they're getting a really nice balance, but we're always kind of all together, so it's good, which is challenging and also beautiful, and I think the good far outweighs the bad. But there are those days where I feel like sometimes there should be a cartoon character of what's really going on. Like we just created this cartoon character for our shipping department, which is just me. And me and the 7-year-old who's like addressing things get lost, things happen. We got kids working with me. And so we've got this cartoon thing that goes out when you order something that's just like me with packages everywhere and the chickens running around. It's like, I hope your package gets there on time. We're doing the best we can over here, but as they're getting older, what I'm finding is that we have a really strong unit because of it. It's a really tight unit and we work well together. So, and they're not being excluded. They're learning how to do these things for themselves someday. Because I don't think it's so much about what we teach them to do for themselves versus what we do for them,
Mm-hmm.
So what is holy flow parenting?
Flow with it and hope no one gets hurt. Get through the day and hope everyone survives. Always asking myself that question. And I didn't say this when I was talking about the bathroom, the long earlier, that moment for me where my coming to Jesus moment is, I was like, okay, I had to really ask myself, and I actually wrote it in my journal that day. How would I love? How would I parent? What kind of friend would I be? Who would I be if no one had ever told me who I should be? Like if I had never had an example of what I was supposed to be doing right now, what would it look like? And so when I asked myself that question with everything. And what I found with the parenting is that there really was, when I really asked myself that question and then I went in search of something that matched that, I couldn't find anything. There was nothing for me. Like, where is, I'm not a fully gentle parent and I'm not a Waldorf parent and I'm not I'm a mix of all of these things. Because when you're in that holy flow, you're all of those different things and all in the same moment, for every different kid who is going through different things at different times and different personalities require different types of attention, and so it's finding that flow, that direct connection to source. Really, it's not that I'm going to teach you how to parent. I'm here to help you get connected to yourself, to source energy, to the natural flowing world around you and its rhythms, and get connected to your children so that you can vibe out for yourself what's a good fit, because that's where a lot of us, we're so out here in the material world where we think we're all looking for some exact, give me some schedule of what I'm supposed to do that's going to make my kid awesome, It's like, no, there's nothing. There's not one book out there, and there shouldn't be. There's not supposed to be. That's all going to come from within you and from within them, you listening to them, where they're at and what's really going on, And for me, that's what that whole holy flow parenting is. So we've got moms now coming to the table. We're working on doing lives from that space every week from all different styles of parenting, all different types of moms doing different types of things and allowing space for each. Well, I don't know, when I think about like teaching my children, there's an old proverb and you might know it. The best teachers are those who show you where to look, but don't tell you what to see. It's like giving people inspirational little light bulbs coming up, that point them in directions, but then they go down that rabbit hole themselves. I'm just here, turning on little lights. Like, oh, what about this over here? Your kids could be playing with silks and out in nature instead of, video games. Or look over here, there's this type of food might make them act less crazy. Or, over here, it's like, there's some light bulbs, but really it's in the end, they've got to find that holy flow themselves for their kids.
And I know that you're all about teaching children how to, and allowing them to connect with the natural world around them. So I wanted to know if you might have suggestions for parents of inner city children on how they can connect.
bring nature inside. I mean, you can, my kids had, my sisters were always making fun of my poor children, they'd call them, because their toys were like twigs and sticks, and I'd order like, little log stacking things and natural silks, all natural materials. So the things that they were playing with were nature-based. That really helps, like getting rid of all plastic stuff. The only plastic we ever did was those recyclable, milk carton toys that can be played with outside, because wood just really doesn't hold up outside. It just gets ruined over a period of time. So, bringing nature inside really helps. And then the types of stories that you're reading to them. We also there's an app you can get on your phone that shows you the stars. Did you know it's
Google Sky?
Maybe something, but you can actually show the kids. No, it's something else. It's like stargazing something, and it shows you and then tells you a story about those. It's like depending on where you're at. When we travel, like Luca loves, like, oh, Hercules is above us right now, or you can use the app to see where things are. And then also, if you have a window, I mean, just a simple thing like we have little weather gnomes that we made, so that the kids can take their little gnome and put it on the window for the type of weather it is outside. There's, the moon, like following, we have a nature table, or we did when they were really young. We don't really do it much anymore, but a nature table is a really fun thing to do inside, where you make that like a seasonal table. Like, so spring equinox is coming. Let's make a table full of things that represent spring equinox. You're bringing nature inside again. And following the moon phases my kids knew the moon phases and where we were at, waxing or waning moon, when they were just old enough to talk, which is so cool. Like, I think that's so neat, because it's like, yes, so great. So yes, I would say for inner city kids, aside from like going out and hunting down nature, which can be, challenging, especially when the weather's bad or whatever.
You could eat the wrong stuff and die too. That's probably,
bringing nature inside. And the books that you're reading, like Waldorf style books for children, can be full of inspiring nature type energy, which is really if your kids are indoors a lot. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's perfect answer. And I grew up being able to see the Twin Towers outside of my bedroom window, like across the golf course outside. And our vacations growing up was always into the Allegheny Mountains, so the middle of nowhere, where we had no TVs, no radio, no nothing. And I looked forward as being more of growing up in a suburban area, just going out into nature. So I think that's beautiful how these inner city moms can bring nature to their children, into their schools, and then maybe even follow up with a vacation somewhere, more remote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we did, we have a math, you can do anyway, there's all kinds of fun things, but like math trays that are sand, just thinking in the form of nature, like with actual stones, instead of doing like a plastic thing where if you think outside the box and you just go, how could this be more nature based, you'll be surprised at the fun ideas you'll come up with.
And really, it sounds extremely cost effective too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we don't have all these toys that are always breaking and making noise in my house, and they have sticks and twigs and silks that they wrap up and make into costumes, and so it's really it actually becomes really fun, and it encourages them to use their imagination instead of it doing it for them.
Yeah.
And our partner, John, who's not on the call today, had a really fantastic question about how can we build intergenerational value. And I think we can even bring in, the grandparents and the family to partake in games like this. But do you have any other suggestions on how we can create and build intergenerational value?
Oh, yeah. It's a really powerful conversation, because I feel like it's an area where we've really, as a culture, have dropped the ball. We're just the ancient wisdom. I know for me, talking about the remembering all the time with my kids, remembering who they are, remember that, just a kind of constant stirring of, like, when we have a tantrum or something's going on, because those are ages where they spin out from all the chaos around them. I'm kind of a chaotic energy. And so sometimes I think I encourage that. So then, they'll spin out on me. And so it's that moment, that grounding moment where you're like, remember who you are, that's stirring in them. And they've had that call to remembering since they were very young, which is connected to our, ancestors. And that, like, ancient blood running through us, all of that memory that's there, and so I think when they get that, when they really connect with that, they brings a whole other value to the wisdom that's on this planet right now that's being pushed aside because it's not pretty to look at. It's like, oh, this person's older now, so we're going to push them aside because it's not something we want to look at. It's uncomfortable. It's real. It reminds us of our own aging. And so for that's a really powerful conversation. Actually, a whole conversation in itself.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely want to bring you back. Maybe we can talk about that on my show. I'll get you in the studio.
There you go.
No, I would love that.
Yeah.
We could just talk about parenting. That'd be fun too. Okay.
And conscious parenting, because, one thing is for me, I knew I always wanted to be a mom. And I knew that going into the whole process of preconception thinking and, finding a conscious partner and all that would help me to contribute a being to the planet to hopefully help save it.
Yeah.
Well, our children they are the messengers for a time that we'll never see. We're not going to be there. So, that's it's the most important job that there is, Yeah.
Huh. Part of me really wants to sit with that, but then there's also this thing that I really want to ask you, Brooke, as somebody who has multiple kids, and listening to what you said about holy flow parenting. Ren and I have a son who's almost 2 months old, and it's been a transition, probably more for her at this point because she's had him longer, and physically, had him physically longer than I have.
For over a month.
Right. Yeah. So what advice, and maybe this also feeds into the intergenerational values piece, but what advice would you give to new parents who are trying to find that holy flow, who are trying to lock that in? And I know, just a little personal piece, I've been finding myself frustrated, but not angrily frustrated when life doesn't life itself the way I want it to life itself. But I'm really curious what advice you would give those new parents who are looking for that flow.
I'd say the biggest thing would be let go of the pride, because pride is it has come between me and my kids so many times. They're acting out and having a moment, and I'm going to try to force them to behave because it doesn't look good on me that they're acting that way right now. And that's been the biggest lesson for me, is just let it go. Drop the act. Everyone has had a kid, even if they forget what it was like 20 years ago. Everyone's had a kid who's had a moment. Let the kids be kids and stop trying to make them some perfect reflection of you. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about their journey. And I think really realizing that we're here to be a guardian of them, not necessarily to parent them or make them into this perfect molded version of what we think that they could be. It's letting them evolve the way that they're meant to evolve, protecting them, guiding them. Yes. Absolutely protecting their innocence, and being that guardian to protect them in this crazy world that we're living in. No, I'm not going to let my kids just eat refined sugar out the walls and watch whatever they want on television and say, well, I'm just letting them become who they're meant to be. No, that's where you're okay, I'm going to create sacred space for them. I'm going to create safe space. But past that, I really want to allow them to be completely different than me, to feel completely different than me. And we've had moments where I'm sitting on the floor in the grocery store and everyone's looking at me like, this crazy lady in her poncho with her kid on the frozen aisle. We're in the frozen aisle in the grocery store, just sitting there talking to each other, because I'm not going we had a grocery cart full of stuff and he was, he's just not into it, and I'm not going to threaten him or say, well, if you don't stop, I'm going to do this. It's no, I'm not, no, we're just going to sit here and we're going to talk this out. And then we were fine, a few minutes later, he said what he needed to say. And then, for me, allowing them safe space to really say how they're feeling. We've had some intense moments where my kids, because have had freedom to be honest with me in a respectful way, I'm respectful to them and therefore they're respectful to me. I'm not going to, when they come to me to present an idea, we don't allow name calling or screaming at each other and that sort of thing. But it's, come and tell me how you're really feeling. And man, you want to learn some stuff about yourself? give your kids safe space to say it, because they will call you out every time. I've learned so much about myself they're like a mirror of me. But I think what happens is we create this environment where I'm parent your kid, I know more than you, you know.
Yeah.
And they think that in order for there to be order, they have to keep that hierarchy, that system in place. You know, if not, they're going to lose control and their kids are just going to go bonkers and be, you know, I don't know what they're going to be doing. They're going to be running wild in the streets. But it's really actually what has, for me, like I have a daughter now who's about to be 13, you know, so
Wow.
her being able to say to me, that didn't feel authentic, what you just said to that person, or I don't feel like that's really what you are, or, you know, like really being, because we're doing this all together. There's no like BSing your kids. They're all up in your space. So she's like, you're so bull. It's like, what are you talking about? You know? And it's like so good because it's gives me an opportunity. She feels safe to say it. I have an opportunity to learn. And it's just pride, letting go of the pride. Like, you're totally right now. Okay. So, you know, yes, I'm annoyed right now at this situation. I feel like this isn't exactly the way I would want it to be. But if I let my pride go, I realize, well, you're totally right on. You know what I mean? Like you're actually, yeah. And then you think they're going to lose respect for you, but it's actually completely the opposite. It's so the opposite. When they feel safe to come and talk to you and you actually hear them out and go, okay, you know, yeah. No, I need an upgrade in that department. I can definitely do better. So it's, and it creates also them seeing you vulnerable like that and willing to apologize makes them more loving and forgiving towards you. You know, like they realize you are trying. I'm not trying to be a jackass. You know, I'm not trying to mess this all up. I just, you know, I'm learning just as fast as I can, but I can't do it all right. I have a lot of old stuff I'm trying to, you know. My mom was a yeller. She was good at it. So was my grandmother. So, like, that's something I always have to, like, I literally sometimes be like, oh. Like, I just, like, hold my mouth. So I just, like, you know. So, yeah.
I'm pretty.
Well, I am really glad for your sake you were wearing a poncho in the frozen foods aisle.
You know what, though? This is great. This lady in a rolling cart, what do they call those things, a little grocery rolling cart or whatever? She came up to me after the fact when I was in the actual ready to check out line. And she said, I just have to tell you, that was like a really beautiful thing to see that you like took time to talk to him. See, like, and everyone else was like looking at me, rolling their eyes, like that one person who went, whoa, that's really, you don't see that every day. Like, you know, she's actually talking to him, not just, you know, screaming at him or spanking him in the aisle, which, you know, we're in Texas, so that actually happened. You know, because fear-based parenting doesn't really accomplish anything because they learn how to behave in front of you, but it doesn't actually change who they are innately. You know, it's not making them a better person. You know, it's just teaching them how to perform and be whatever, you know.
Yeah.
My kid's got an issue with being dishonest. I want to know that. I want to see that. I want to face that and work through that with them. I don't want to, like, just ignore it, you know, if they're not going to do it in front of me, you know.
It's, I'm surprised to say that the Holy Flow parenting part of the show has been my favorite so far, and I'm not even a parent yet. So
you thought you were going to be bored.
I really appreciate. I think what you said about pride was just right on the money, and it's kind of heart-wrenching for me to like transition us a little bit because this was juicy. This was great. But we wanted to segue for our last discussion into this idea of seeding your ideas. And as Chris and myself and our other business partner, Devin, we're all millennials in our later 20s, and we're really looking to build a platform where people like yourself that represent movements and represent change, as our slogan says, are rethinking things, rethinking everything, so that they can come and share their message, and we can kind of coalesce these ideas to really have ultimately a shift on our culture and on our society and where it's headed, where we can. So with the idea of seeding ideas, I thought this quote that you had, I found it on Instagram, really set the stage. And it's, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. I was hoping you could share what that message is behind that quote.
I love that I'm actually about to get that tattooed on my shoulder. I'll meet you there. That's one of my favorite quotes. I love that you brought that up. And it actually finishes with, it's out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrong doing. There's a field. I'll meet you there. And when the soul is, I think it's when the soul lies down in that grass, the world's too full to talk about. Like there's so much of everything in that space that it all just flows and comes together. You know, like it's a beautiful, that's a beautiful quote. I actually live by that quote. Yes. Because I think realizing that there isn't really a right or wrong way to do this. It's just the right or wrong way for you, yes, at this moment in time. And also being that same safe space for everyone else. You know, like holding that space for other people to make have that same realization and supporting them in their journey, you know?
Yeah.
Like it might feel wrong to you to do this right now. That doesn't mean it's wrong for them. Because if I look back at my journey all along the way, people could go, oh, you were a hypocrite here. No, I was learning a valuable lesson right there. Like, you were being this here. That's, you know, no, I was being taught how to be real here. You know what I mean? Like, this is my training ground. Without all of that, you don't get nothing worth having comes without some struggle, without some of the, you know, the work part of it. That's the whole point. You know, anything worth having grows slowly and organically, and it's not easy, you know. It's not
we're so as humans, we're so comparative by nature. And so when we see someone doing something different, it also challenges the other person to look at themselves and say, like, maybe I should be doing something like that. And I think that's hard. Like, you know, there's the battle within yourself for you to come and to stand out and say, hey, I think I do things differently. And then there's the other battle of everyone else is watching you do it. And they're like, you know, it's a really interesting dynamic.
I think some of the greatest pain people are ever going to, so much pain is caused by expectations and comparing. You know, it's a big,
I gave up expectations for Lent about half a decade ago and never took them back.
Yeah. You got to let,
Brooke, I really like what you said about, you know, there was never, really the theme that I'm hearing in what you're saying is there really was never any problem. It was only a learning opportunity. And I used to work with a guy who was like 60. He was the oldest guy in the company I worked, in the building of the company I worked for. And we were all young guys, 20, 30. And he would always say, we would go to him and be like, I got a problem. And he's like, it's not a problem, it's an opportunity. And we would always yell at him for that.
Yeah.
And we would be like, no, it's a freaking problem. Here's the problem. He's like, well, why don't you try saying the opportunity is? Like, he would try to coach us. And what I'm finding is that the older I get, and especially you having this sort of sage energy and having that wisdom, the more true that becomes, because there's never all a problem is a negative judgment on a situation. That's a learning opportunity.
You're so right on with that. And we really have, I think, because we mask pain, hide pain, medicate pain so much in our current culture, we have made it this bad thing. You know, pain, discomfort, or anything that isn't looking perfect is somehow bad, right? And really what I've learned, especially through childbirth, and I think, you know, Ren can probably back me up on this, but it taught me because immediately when I was delivering my first child, it was so new. That level of pain had never been experienced by me. I had never had a tooth pulled without medication, or, you know, we don't live in that world. Like I hadn't experienced that kind of raw pain, you know. And my midwife said something to me that changed how I looked at all pain, and emotional pain, physical pain, all of it. I was, I don't know, somewhere close to the end. I was like 2 hours out. I'd been in labor for like 20 hours. It was ridiculous.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was having a really hard time. It was not an easy birth for me. And because I was resisting it, I wanted away from it. You know, I wanted away from the pain. Like, I wanted to get out of my body and get away from it. I kept literally doing this, like, just get me away from this, you know? And because I hadn't experienced anything like it. I didn't know how to process it. And she said she got in those Irish blue eyes in my face, and she held my shoulders, and I don't think anyone else could have had the strength to do what she did. And she just said, stop trying to run from it. Sit in it. Be it. It's here to do something in you. Stop trying to get away from it. Work with it. And I'm like, and it was enough. Her power, her strength, her energy exchange was enough to help me. Like, okay, I'm going to just go in it. I'm not going to try to get away from it. I'm going to be here in this, let it do what it came to do, and work with it. And man, what, like, in my life now, since then, I hear her, like, I'll be in physical pain or emotional pain, whatever's going on. And instead of trying to make it go away, like quick, not that we don't, if we have physical pain, we wouldn't want to like take action to do something about that, but we're so quick. You have a headache. Oh, pop an Advil, It's like just sitting with that and going, hey, what is this here for? What is my body trying to tell me right now? What is my spirit trying to tell me? Why am I broken open and sad right now? And we want to make it go away because it's uncomfortable. It's not pretty. So it's been a big part of my journey, is experiencing pain as a good thing. It's not a bad thing, and whatever else looks messy. The messy is the juicy stuff. It's the good stuff. It's where we learn about ourselves, I mean, everyone can look great when everything's going great. Like
that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Yeah, I got chills.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm here for, guys. That's what I'm here for.
So with one of the questions I wanted to ask, with your community and everything you're doing, from your blog to Instagram to your shop, what's the gift that you're trying to really give each member of your community?
I want to be a bridge, and I know that probably sounds wacky, but I want to be that bridge over, that I kind of see myself as this little like physical bridge of words and moments and inspiration and whatever I am being laid over so that people can make that transition over to their own version of that, like helping them find their way there. For me, I would really feel like I failed if my kids or my cyber tribe all just became some version of me. It's like, that's not the point. That's like, I was here hoping that you would find your way to your own version of yourself. Like my daughter at 13, people say to me all the time, she's so different than you. And I'm like, thank the gods. Like, she's so different than me. That's the whole point. Like, she's so unique and different. That's what I'm here for, like to help her find the best version of herself, So yeah, that's I hope my gift will be, is to be an actual bridge over for people.
And as far as literal gifts, I don't know if you saw, but we made you a thank you video for the Made Under the Moon onesie you sent.
I did it.
Yeah. There was a moon above the roof in that room in Jersey, I'm sure.
For sure.
But we love what you're doing now, even with your product line, is all of these are to raise proceeds for your new non-for-profit Defend the Sacred. So
yeah, I have. Well, actually, not all of it. So the Defend the Sacred bags, the grocery bags, are for the Defend the Sacred nonprofit, and we have half of what we need to start the actual nonprofit, and then we have some really fun things going on with that. I don't want to get really into that, but there's some pretty cool stuff happening with that. We're there hoping to shine some light on the people who have their hands in the dirt and are doing the work, but don't have the time to build a following. They're doing the physical work, and we want to support them and shine light on them, but they haven't been able to take the time. They're not meant to. They're supposed to be out there teaching children's gardening classes or defending sacred sites or standing on steps, with petitions. That's what they're there for, and we're supposed to be supporting them because I knew if I ever got to a place where I had a voice and I could do that, I would do it, and that's what I'm doing. And then I have the Barefoot Five. There's some products in there. I have actually 2 different single moms who are making products for my shop, and it's helping support them, which is amazing. And my mom, who lives with us now, and she sells the shaga through there. So it's become, and my kids, they make things, and it's become this beautiful avenue for me to bless the people in my life, which is like, it means so much to me. Like it's a not a little thing, it's a really big thing to me. So it's, I've worked so long, and somebody finally, I had an issue with the money exchange thing because I felt like, because what I was there to do, I thought that it would make it less authentic, and somehow my intention wasn't right if I exchanged, if I was getting paid for what I was doing. And what I realized is someone said something to me, a really good friend of mine who I was on a road trip with recently. He said, it's an energy exchange.
yes.
They're blessing you because you're blessing them, and they want to bless you. Let them. You're actually taking a gift away from them when you don't let them help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let them help. And so it really it changed my whole, and I've been able to, this has been really hard for me, but I've been able to do it. Now I've got funneling funds to these people who mean so much to me, and it's been really beautiful. It's really great. So.
Nice. So as we kind of come to the end of the show here, Brooke, I want to get viewers connected to you and ask that question, where can people find you? How can people connect with you? And I've heard through some sources that you're also doing some ceremonial work up in Maine. And
Sorcerers or sources?
both. Sorcerer sources.
I'm like, wait, can you give me their number?
So I'd love to hear some about that and about Pharmacia and what you have coming up and what people can do to connect with you.
So those are my first 2 in-person events. I'm doing a gathering in Maine, which is totally sold out already. In 6 days, we sold out. And it's women coming together to, be women under the moon and play in the wild water and to do ceremony and to return to that sacred space with each, and really hoping to build sisterhood in that place. Really, so like a real true support system amongst each other, which is, I think, important right now in these times that we're going into, to have our sisters, especially if you have children. You need that connection with your, and then I'm going up to Toronto to do a live tea time at Steve Santa's place.
You give Stefano a smooch for me. I bet he's tuning in too.
It's so great. So we're just going to meet and serve shaga and talk and answer inappropriate questions. And, it's going to be really fun. It'll be really good. So, and then that's it. I've got those 2 things planned. And then I'm going to do another Sovereign Rising gathering, I think in May. I mean, next year, sometime in the spring, because we've had so much interest in it. And I think it's a really fun opportunity to gather. And I love the idea of I'm learning as I go, and I've been really blessed that I've manifested magical people in my life, and I have no problem admitting when I don't know how to do something. Like I told Camille, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing as far as ceremony goes. You're really going to have to help me out here. So we've just put these magical people in my life. I have such beautiful friends, and we have created, I'm hoping, my intention is to create a really sacred space where we can return to that connection to nature and have, where everything's so busy. The world is so loud. And it's finding time to listen, finding quiet time somewhere, That's when I say sacred space. That's what I mean, that creating an environment where we can hear we can get direct downloads.
So where can people find and get direct downloads from you?
I blog at barefoot5.com, and I hang out on Instagram, and I'm addicted to Insta stories.
What's your Instagram handle?
I just learned Barefoot 5. I just learned how to do them. My daughter taught me how to do it, and I'm like, now she says to me, she goes, I think you're getting a little carried away. Like, I think you've gone overboard, Mom. But I just love it. I want to story everything.
And really quick, you're calling your ceremonial work Sovereign Rising, and I know you explained that on your website, but could you just define it quickly for the viewers?
Yes. It's Sovereign Rising. It's taking each other's hands and getting off the bathroom, the laundry room floor, wherever it is where you're falling apart and you can't find your way up. It's like having women who have found their way, not to tell you which direction to go, but just hold your hand while you find your way there. Like somebody to support you on your rise.
Well, I feel like we could keep talking to you for hours on a whole lot of things, but we're at the end of our show here today, and so I want to really thank you for the time that you spent with us and for sharing everything that you've shared, both in your community, on your Instagram, on your YouTube, on your everywhere that I'm not naming.
For saying yes.
Yeah, for saying yes to be here with us. And does anybody have anything else to say to Brooke before we leave?
Just that we love you unconditionally.
Thanks for being the bridge.
Thank you. You guys are great. I love you. Thank you for getting me to do this. This is good.
No problem. You said yes. We didn't get you to do anything.
Well, yeah, it was good. It was really good for me. It got uncomfortable, and I was like sweating before I started. And, I thought I was going to tell you I was sick. So thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, and thank you guys who are watching. We got a lot of people still tuned in live. We got over 600 people that we've reached. Yeah, Gail, Monica, Boysen, Chrissy, I think. Yep, Chrissy, and all those who commented and will comment. We really, really couldn't do this without you guys. We love you as the community, and thank you all so much. If you like the show today, if you like what we're talking about, if you like the production, anything, head on over to patreon.com/resetlive. That's R3SET live. And we have a Patreon put together where you can help directly contribute to this production and directly contribute to making the show continue to be a success. So thank you, Brooke, Ren, all the viewers, of course, PJ is part of the team as well. And until next week, guys, thanks for joining us at Reset Live.
Mooches.
As someone that would want to be a politician, so it's just a venue that I'm using to gain more knowledge about that system, but to help those that don't know about that system. In high school, I got involved with the Mayor's Menino Youth Council. I was a Dorchester representative, and that was the first time that I had to represent a community. In Boston Public Schools, definitely it's hard for us Cape Verdeans to succeed out there because they want to shut down a lot of the programs that help us as students that English is our second language. The system is kind of hey, we just want to get the students to graduate. Forget if they're going to go to college or not, but we need our numbers to look that we're graduating a lot of students. One of the things that I woke up to when I came to UMass, we're not the face that they're talking about doing orientation. You know what I mean? They talk about it, but they're not showing the real stuff. So to me, it was just hey, we're actually here, and we're the reason that you have this diversity, but you're not giving me the resources that I need to show my Cape Verdean culture throughout campus. And people think, oh, there's no more racism. Yes, there is. People need to start educating themselves regardless if you were affected by it, regardless if you're black or not. That's a national and international problem. You don't have to be directly affected by it. You don't have to be black. You have to be citizens of the world. Second chance. Reset means second chance to me. That's my sentence. Second chance.